You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The PBS Short Film Festival returns on Monday, July 15th, and it runs through Friday, July 26th to all PBS and station digital platforms, including pbs.org, YouTube, and the PBS app. The 2024 festival is themed Storytime, and it celebrates the art of short-form storytelling and will feature 15 different independent films selected for their impact and stories that reflect a variety of American cultures, families, and experiences. Taryn Jackson, Director Editorial and Brand Engagement at PBS, is here to give us a look behind the scenes of the film festival, as well as preview some of the featured shorts. And she joins me right now on the show. Taryn, thank you for coming on this evening. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
For 13 years, the festival has showcased films about love, acceptance, family, strength, equality, friendship, loyalty, and so much more. But what was the impetus for this film festival? What gave birth to this?
The film festival started all the way back in 2012, and we wanted to make sure that we were highlighting and celebrating independent film and independent filmmaking. You know, PBS has been the home of documentary films for a very, very long time. And we already knew that, but we were like, is there a way where we can bring more visibility, even more, to films and filmmaking on the independent level? So what we decided to do is do a festival. So that's how we started in 2012, just wanting to bring even more awareness to independent filmmakers and giving them a trusted platform to tell their stories.
The visual media landscape has changed so much in the past 20 years. I need not tell you, you can realistically shoot a movie on an iPhone. You can edit it on your laptop. And thanks to the internet and YouTube, you can get it out to the world for them to see. That was unheard of some 2 decades ago. How would you characterize the growth of independent filmmaking and that changing landscape?
I love it. I am a supporter of creators telling their stories. That is what this is all about. And that's why I love that PBS is still here to help these. And like you mentioned, there's so many different platforms, so many different ways for people to tell their stories. But PBS has always been accessible. So you have the trusted brand and platform of PBS as well as the accessibility, because you can find all of this great content, like you mentioned, on our app, YouTube channel, Facebook page, on our pbs.org/film festival show page. There's so many ways to interact with this content. So I think that, you know, while I completely support content creators getting their content out any way that they see fit, I do feel that there's still a place for a trusted public media brand to help bring this content to light.
Let's get into the PBS Short Film Festival, which runs, as I said earlier, across all PBS stations and digital platforms between July 15th and July 26th. What should someone like me, who is a public media fan, be on the lookout for?
Well, I want you to schedule time to sit down and watch all 15. Okay. I'm going to give you some highlights,
okay,
but I really do feel like there's a lot for, you know, everyone to just run the gamut of emotions and their feelings, because there's something for everyone. We have a couple of standouts. I mean, there's a lot of standouts, but one of the ones that really touches my heart is called The Forgotten Ones. It follows Willie Smith. They call him Billy Brown. He's a 75-year-old black man. And, you know, that resonated with me because he's the same age as my parents. And he's lived on the streets of Hollywood for nearly 40 years. And while he battled both like drug abuse and alcohol abuse, he's getting his life all the way together. And as he starts piecing his life back together, that's where the film picks up. So you get to see this beautiful story of redemption. And I love that. And that's one of the films that even after I screened it, I thought about it. But long after I finished watching it. We also, and you know, this is an acquired taste, but we have our first musical as a short film. It's presented by Louisiana Public Broadcasting. It's called The Ballad of May Rose. So this description, it's going to provide more, you're going to have more questions than I'm going to give you answers, but that's why we need people to watch these films. It's a creative musical. It portrays a serious story. Edwin Gray, he is our star of this film. He loses his first wife. And he finds himself at the funeral of his child, Rose May, who, despite suspicion, fell prey to a plague. So it's a really different story and the way it's told is very different and interesting. It's like a musical at a funeral. So I can't wait to hear what people think about that one. There's also another film called Take Me Home. And this is presented by CAM, the Center for Asian American Media. And this is about two sisters. One of them has a cognitive disability and has been taken care of by her mother for so long, but her mom falls ill. So now her other sister has to come in and help. And it's a struggle, but these sisters find their way together, and it's such a beautiful story. And so, yeah, that's another one that had me, just in my feelings for the entire day, even after watching it. So these stories are told, they're short stories, so you can get through a lot of films in a short amount of time, but the impact that they leave is a big one.
Public media was a part of my educational development as a child and part of my professional growth as an adult, having worked many years in public radio. What would you say is the importance of public media in today's world, in this 21st century?
One of the biggest things is the accessibility. And I know that I already talked about that, but that is really big. And that's why public media means so much to me. That's why I've been working in this public media space for 16 years. It'll be 16 years next month. It's because projects like the PBS Short Film Festival, they're born out of PBS's mission to present programs that capture the lived experiences, enrich diversity of all Americans, and provide a platform where audiences can see their personal stories or the stories of people that they love reflected. So just like a lot of PBS programming, the festival also aims to amplify the work of up-and-coming independent filmmakers from across the nation. Fresh perspectives, and a unique window into communities that are rarely given the spotlight. And that's why the film festival means so much to me, because public media provides access to people that would not normally get it. So from the people that are creating the content to the people that are consuming the content. PBS is there on the front end and on the back end. That's why I believe that PBS and public media as a whole is so important. It is very important. It cannot go anywhere because it's a reflection of the country. Public media should be that mirror. And I feel that PBS provides that.
I remember how I found PBS when I was a child, but I'm quite sure it's very different than how young people are finding PBS or public media more generally today. In your professional experience, how are people, the Gen Zers of the world, finding public media?
It comes in a lot of different ways. And I think that is the beauty of the film festival, because what will happen, like you said, we have our story, right? How we turned on the TV and we saw something and couldn't turn away. We saw our first, performance from Great Performances or even a PBS kids show. And then we were hooked. Kids, they consume so much media and it's right in their faces and it's so fast and it's so quick. And so, PBS and other public media entities, I do feel like we're doing a good job of keeping up with the time. PBS has their own TikTok. We have our own TikTok channel. We're across all of our, the social media platforms. So it's important for public media to stay in the conversation, that way. But I still think the hook is the same. I think you come across something that you did not normally, you wouldn't be interested in. You didn't think that it resonates with you. You didn't think it was a big deal. And then that story pulls you in and you can't turn away. It sparks your curiosity and then you go deeper. And public media still does that. And so it might be different. It might be on a YouTube, right? On a YouTube channel. It might be, on a TikTok, or it might come from a Facebook post or an Instagram story. But the story is still the same. And, just that access that public media provides, that curiosity that sparked out of that. So while the entry point may be different, the impact is the same.
Taryn Jackson is the director, editorial and brand engagement for PBS. And we've been talking about the PBS Short Film Festival, which runs Monday, July 15th through Friday, July 26th. Ms. Jackson, thank you so much for coming on later with Mo Kelly this evening. And I'll be sure to be tuning in myself.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640, it's Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And I'll just tell you up front, at the end of this segment, we'll give away our, not one, not two, but 3 pairs of tickets to Drunk Theater LA, the wildest improv comedy show around, where one comedian takes 5 shots of whiskey in a row and tries to perform an improvised play with 5 sober comedians. The show is tomorrow night. So you have to be able to go to the show tomorrow night at the Santa Monica Playhouse and Group Theater. That's at the end of this segment, 3 pairs of tickets. But before we get there, we have to talk about the most recent episodes of both The Acolyte on Disney Plus and The Boys on Amazon Prime. The Acolyte has been highly criticized, highly discussed, as in DISCUSSED, and also there's been much discussed, DISGUST, surrounding the series, the content of the series. I thought in episode 5 that it had taken a turn for the better, had some of the best action I'd ever seen in a Star Wars property. And then after that, we got a lot of walking and talking and illogical plot twists and horrible writing and more horrible acting. And now I'm back to where I started, where really I dislike this series top to bottom.
I'm going to have to take it a step further.
Ooh.
I hate this show now. Okay. After this week's episode, I officially despise this series. And you cannot say, coming from you, Mo, or me, that we have a problem with the wokeness. This is not a problem with the wokeness of the series.
The casting has nothing to do with there being women, nothing like that.
Nothing. It has every single thing to do with this show having some of the worst Star Wars writing, some of the worst Star Wars acting, and some of the worst Star Wars dialogue, and one of the, as you said, one of the most illogical stories I've ever seen in Star Wars lore. Nothing that happens in this series can possibly happen based on what we've seen from the origination of the Star Wars franchise. This story flies in the face of all of that.
It's interesting you said that, because one of the sticking points for many fans like me was the showrunner was known to be a non-Star Wars fan. They specifically put someone in place as the head writer and showrunner who was not originally knowledgeable about Star Wars.
I have to wonder out loud, why does Kathleen Kennedy hate us? Why does Kathleen Kennedy hate Nerdkind? Why does she hate the Star Wars franchise? I thought she was one of the main supporters of George Lucas through much of his career. She is proven right now that she truly is the Sith Lord. She's the worst because she's green lighting this crap.
No, she's not the Sith Lord, because the Sith are good. She's Jedi.
Yeah, yes.
She's Jedi.
Yeah, according to her.
Yeah.
According to her and her telling of this franchise, this is utter hogwash. This week's episode was so offensively bad, I could not take it. I literally could not take it. And this is for, if you've ever watched, the legendary Knights of the Nerd Around Table, I defend so much. I'm one of those individuals. I did not have as big a problem with Thor Love and Thunder as everyone. So I defend some stuff that most would say, nah, T, that's indefensible. No, this right here, I don't like anything about it now. And I'm offended because I'm like, you're treading on my Star Wars youth and my Star Wars adulthood and my sense of good storytelling.
They've given us more bad Star Wars since the sale of the Star Wars IP to Disney than they've given us good Star Wars. If you talk about the totality of the series, the totality of the movies, the third trilogy, it hasn't been good, with the exception of a couple of seasons of The Mandalorian. I thought Obi-Wan was good here and there.
Here and there.
Ahsoka was good here and there.
Here and there.
But on balance, more trash than treasure. Mark Bonner, what say you?
I think that Tuwala's hatred nourishes me, and I'll tell you why. Because for him to come out like this and hate so much on a Star Wars show, he's a big fan, and I, as a huge fan. I mean, I'm a fan of like the first 2 movies, and I think most everything else has been terrible. But some of my greatest entertainment is listening to Tawala recap Star Wars stuff because it's more entertaining than the actual shows themselves. So for him to come out and take a huge deuce on the show like this tells you something.
Oh, Mark, I'm fart walking with this show. This is absolute trash. I can't take it.
Now, I dropped this show after 2 episodes because they had the most promising character, maybe of all time, introduced in the first episode, and they kill her off right away.
Yeah, no spoiler at this point. But they tried to reintegrate Carrie-Anne Moss, the actress, through flashbacks and look back in this reverse, tired, start at the end and then go back to the beginning and tell the story. And it doesn't work. It's lazy writing and formulaic. It is not inventive. It's not ingenious. It's not insightful, and it's not entertaining.
I'll tell you, as a writer, I've always wanted to pitch a show or a movie or a comic about a couple Jedi buddy cops, which we saw a little glimpse of in the prequel trilogy, but not enough to be satisfying. I've always wanted that. And so after the first episode, I thought, okay, well, let me stick around. Maybe we're going to get some of that, but not enough. It's terrible. It's really bad.
You get none of that. Conversely, The Boys, last night's episode or today's episode, oh my God.
It's some of the best television around, and I don't say that lightly. It's funny. It is gross with its humor. It's over the top with its imagery. It's topical, timely. It exists in our world. It makes real world references, talking about the things that people may talk about today, but it puts it against the backdrop of superheroes and comic book lore.
I think I texted you at like 5 a.m. a couple weeks ago after I'd watched a Boys episode, and every time I see an episode, I think to myself, I don't think I've ever seen an hour of television like this.
No, they're going for broke. They're doing things which have never been done on a screen before. Not big screen, not small screen, nowhere. How this show does not have an X rating, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I really don't know how this show has avoided an NC-17 X rating.
At least NC-17. I mean, yesterday's episode was so hardcore, and there were moments where I literally cursed the show for its goodness. I found myself saying out loud, I hate you, show writers. I hate you in such a good way. There's a line that they had in this series about something that's happened to someone. Bad? No, not even the smell bad, but something that happened to the individual as a result of the flu shot. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
And I said, I hate you. I hate you so much. This show is too damn good.
It's talking about everything that has been talked about in talk radio, cable news, chat rooms, Reddit boards. It puts it all in there under this single thread of superheroes are ruining the world.
They've really amped up the satire and made it much more on the nose this season, and it's far transcended anything in the comic. It's by far the best season as well.
Yes, absolutely. And this is coming from someone, Mark, who in the beginning, I was not a fan. I did not like this series, but I love it now.
And if Anthony Starr does not get every single award that's available to humanity, there's something wrong.
I hope so. He is so underappreciated, and his performance is understated. For a satire which is so over the top, he is not over the top. And I like that almost incongruous nature where you have the other characters which can be kind of over the top and ridiculous, where he's very understated. He's cerebral. He has internal emotional issues going on, and it's a character study, but you can't really appreciate it unless you look at it across the 4 seasons. Because that character arc is long.
Yeah, there are a lot of levels to him, and he switches between them just effortlessly, and he's easily the best psychopath I've ever seen on any TV show.
I sure hope he's not typecast going forward.
And if you were typecast for this one thing, that wouldn't be so bad.
It's not bad, but I think of him in a career where he will become a household name because of this role. But I don't want this to be the high point of his career.
Well, we should say, if this is the only thing of his you've ever seen, go back and watch Banshee, which was a series on Cinemax. The final season's no good, but the first seasons are terrific.
Along those lines, let's get into Drunk Theater LA, the wildest improv comedy show. A comedian takes 5 shots of whiskey in a row and tries to perform an improvised play with 5 sober comedians alongside him. What possibly could go wrong? Hopefully everything. The show is tomorrow night at the Santa Monica Playhouse and Group Theater. You have to be able to see tomorrow's show. The doors open at 8:30. Show starts at 9. If you're not available, don't even try to call. This will be the Troop's 100th show in LA. We have 3 pairs of tickets to give away right now to callers 6, 7, and 8. Callers
21 and over.
21 and over. You got to be 21 and over. Caller 6, caller 7, caller 8. You and a guest, both over the age of 21. If you're available for tomorrow night's Drunk Theater LA show at the Santa Monica Playhouse, you will be going to see the show. But you got to be over 21, and you got to be available for tomorrow's show at the Santa Monica Playhouse and Group Theater, which is 1211 4th Street, Santa Monica. When we come back, we will remember Shelley Duvall.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I think the hardest part about working in entertainment and also getting older is being reminded of your own mortality through the passing of our favorite artists, be it movies, television, music. And I was getting ready to do a call in to the Bill Handel show this morning. We're going to talk about one thing, and then we got news that this other more important news had just broken, and that was the passing of legendary actress Shelley Duvall. And I think of the many roles that she was in, be it Annie Hall, of course, The Shining, of course, Popeye. And I think about when she was cast in Popeye, they made the announcement. And I remember, I don't know if there was anyone better on the face of the earth to be cast as Olive Oyl.
Oh, she was born for that.
She physically could do it, sounded like her. I mean, it was almost like you could not get a better live action version of Olive Oyl than Shelley Duvall. And she knocked it out of the park. Of course, later on in life, she left Hollywood. I think it was around 2002. Just dropped off the face of the earth as far as the public. And then she resurfaced, and I'll never forget, and I'll still have misgivings about Dr. Phil interviewing Shelley Duvall. I think it was back in 2016. She obviously was going through a lot, physical ailments, emotional ailments. And I think Dr. Phil took advantage of that for the sake of, getting in exclusive with Shelley Duvall. She passed away today from complications of diabetes, but there were other things going on with her. I don't know emotionally where she stood, whether she was at peace or not, but her life partner made it clear that she had been physically suffering for quite some time. And as I often say, you know someone's glory, but you may not know their story. And for all the glory of Shelley Duvall, the story of Shelley Duvall is heartbreaking in many instances. But for me, I will always remember her not for her words on screen, but the sounds she made.
Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the hair on your chinny chin chin. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. Here's Johnny.
Mark, I know you know the answer to this, but Kubrick was world-renowned for his strange methods of inspiring actors.
Oh, he terrorized her.
Yes, he terrorized her and kept her in a constant state of fear and depression to keep her in a space where she could deliver scenes like that.
Yeah, and he was reputed to have just been mean to her overall on the set, and it was exhausting for her because she had to cry and shriek all day for days on end, and that took a toll on her, and that's been reported on ad nauseum. I thought, I read the book overnight before I saw The Shining way back when it came out, and I thought she was a really weird choice to play Wendy, but boy, did she sell the aspect of her just being terrified of Jack losing his mind. And with her bulging eyes and her shrieks, I didn't think she was the greatest actress in that part. She'd been in 7 Robert Altman movies, and she was completely different in each one of those. And you mentioned the Woody Allen film she'd been in. I wasn't sure she was a great choice for Wendy, but boy, those scenes, the one that you just played, she's part of film history because of that now.
And there's also another scene in there where she's waving a bat at Jack Nicholson's character, and reportedly she had to redo that scene 162 times.
Kubrick was notorious for that. I mean, in the same movie, he made Scatman Crothers do the axe in the chest thing until Nicholson was like, hey, maybe you should take it easy before he dies for real. He was like the 70s and 80s version of David Fincher, who would just shoot something until there was something that physically stopped him from doing it to these poor actors anymore.
Well, all I can say is her legacy is intact. I'm sorry there wasn't a happier ending to all of this, because it was well publicized how she had suffered all sorts of physical ailments. She had gained considerable weight. It seemed like she might have been an invalid. It didn't seem like that she was doing much movement at all.
It's hard to say, and I think that there was a real voyeuristic and outright cruel aspect to some of the coverage of her later years. And I tried not to patronize that because it really kind of made me ill to watch. And you mentioned how exploitive Dr. Phil's thing was. I'm not down with any of that. I think that's really punching down and kicking people while they're down.
Yeah, and it was clear to me in that interview that Shelley Duvall I don't think, had a full understanding of how she was being positioned and presented to the world.
No, I have nothing but compassion for her. She deserved to be treated with care and dignity, and not, to make more money for Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I wonder what he would have to say in this moment like this. I wonder if he has any type of remorse.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
I wonder what that interview did to her. Did it further spiral for her, make her further spiral, or something else? We'll never know, but I am pleased at least that for all her physical suffering, she's no longer physically suffering, and hopefully there was a degree of peace which she reached before passing.
She was terrific, and she is immortal.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before we get out of here, congratulations to our winners who will be going to Drunk Theater LA. I'm waiting on the names, and so I can shout you out specifically, where you'll be going to see a comedian who's going to take 5 shots of whiskey in a row and tries to perform an improvised play with 5 sober comedians. That sounds like my kind of time. You know what? I would like to do that on the radio, but they would fire me. They wouldn't pay me for that.
I don't think Robin would even call. I think she would drive in and just pull you off the air.
She would get on the mic and fire me in front of everyone. So everyone knew that was going to be the last segment. I wouldn't even be able to finish the show.
But it'd be funny.
Oh, it would be funny, and it would make news, and I'd probably go viral and all those things.
You can be the next hot tour.
No, I would not. They would not pay me $30,000 just to show up and hang around. No, there's certain things that are reserved for people who are not me. And hot tour girl is... No, that's not. No, I'm not going to spit on that thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? No.
Well, sooner or later, you're going to spit on that.
No, I am not. Definitely am not. That's not my bailiwick, pun intended. Before we go, just got to let you know, we will be having another round of Name That Movie Cult Classic tomorrow night. I couldn't think of a theme. Can anyone think of a theme for tomorrow? I can't think of one. I mean, there are no real holidays coming up. It's the middle of summer, so I guess it'll just be random movies.
You just keep it to summer, I guess.
Movies about hot summers, like Summer of Sam, that kind of stuff.
Hot summers. Okay. Yes.
Look at Night of the Juggler. That's a nasty one with James Brolin. There's all sorts of movies we could come up with.
Movies which where the heat of summer is involved.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Then that's what I'll do. All right. And before we leave, congratulations to Jacob Burns of Huntington Beach. He will be going to see Drunk Theater LA tomorrow. And Bobby Wade in Culver City. I don't know if that's he or she, but Bobby, congratulations. You'll be going to see Drunk Theater tomorrow. And George Bell of South LA. He will be going tomorrow with a guest as well. We love giving away free stuff here on Later with Mo Kelly. And we'll have more in the future. In fact, I have to order some more T-shirts. What color did we decide on? Pink?
I think it was pink, yeah.
Pink? Okay, we have to order some more T-shirts. We got to get some tchotchkes or something because I like giving away stuff. It keeps me happy. And what are we getting to eat tomorrow?
Ooh, good question.
Start thinking about it now.
All right. We'll figure it out.
Mark, do you have any desires?
I feel like we're getting kind of pizzaed out, don't you?
That's part of the reason why I say something now.
That's it's a sad situation to be in, isn't it?
Well, we can always come back to pizza. But
we've had too much pizza for us.
You know, the worst job to have where you complain about getting so much pizza. Too much good stuff.
Yeah, no sympathy from anybody.
All right, so what are we going to get? What are we going to do?
That's
we'll brainstorm.
Yeah.
Okay. I need you to figure out these things, all right? Because I'm modifying my diet and I have to plan my day around what we're most likely going to eat.
I know that's the funniest thing is when I come in and it's like, oh, we're going to have, let's just say pizza, but it's like, Mo or 12, like, no, I already ate this and that. So it's like you have to plan around it because you have to expect the food to be here.
If you let me know in advance, then I can either eat a late lunch or not. And I've been very good since coming off vacation on the 4th of July. I've really restricted my diet. I'm on the wrong side of 25. Got to watch my cholesterol and blood pressure, that kind of stuff. So I'm monitoring what I eat very closely. And if I'm going to splurge and have some pizza, well, that means early in the day, I'm not going to have anything fried.
When it's hot like this, all sorts of foods just sound too gross to eat. It's too hot to cook. Some foods, like I have I'm not going to share this.
I don't mind hot food on a hot day. I really don't.
So when you've just raced indoors from the burning heat outside, you want something deep fried?
I will take a burger in a heartbeat.
Really? Okay.
I shouldn't eat it, but I'm saying, no, when I'm hungry, I want food. I don't want food to offset the weather. That doesn't even.
You don't want to play with it.
Yeah.
No, it's not playtime. What about P.F. Chang's? Like a couple of the dishes they have there.
Yeah, but is there one that's somewhat near? I thought the nearest one was like maybe like in Studio City.
No. It's right around the corner, over by the Vons.
Really? There's a P.F. Chang's over there?
Over on Hollywood.
Oh, he's right. Yeah. It's not too far.
No, I get off the freeway.
I know there's a Panda Express over there.
Oh,
man.
Well, it's not the same, y'all.
Yeah, I feel like there might be a slight gap in quality between the two.
It's Panda that's over there. The P.F. Chang's is over closer towards, I think towards the airport.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I've been out there all the time. I'd be getting, Panda Express.
No.
I don't ever remember a P.F. Chang's over there.
It's either over there. That's over either by the Target, Walmart area, or over by the airport. All the same area.
Okay.
But I like that theme. I think we should stick to that.
P.F. Chang's, okay.
Something like
P.F.
that.
Chang's.
Or Panda. Look, Panda is the knockoff, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Then that's what we'll get tomorrow.
All right.
And you listening, you will get Name That Movie Cult Classic, and we'll see if we'll have a prize or anything. I got to get out of here now because I have to be up at 4 a.m. because I'm going to be on Spectrum 1 News SoCal at 5 a.m. between 5 and 5:30, talking about all things political, the Biden press conference and everything. So if you're up and you have Spectrum News SoCal, you can check me out between 5 and 5:30, sometime around that time if you're up. I know. I'm never not working.
I might still be up then. I might just be going to bed about
Well, there you go. You'll have something to watch.
Something to put me right to sleep is what you're saying. Thank you for that.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere, the iHeartRadio app.
No need to keep hitting refresh. We got this. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.